Matilda felt like a perfect childhood fantasy. Good defeating evil, a little girl discovering her power, and every character getting what they deserved. But in real life, to the actors behind that magic faced far more unpredictable turns. Fame vanished, careers collapsed, illnesses struck, and some walked away from Hollywood forever. Let's uncover their real names, their untold journeys, and honor the legacies they left behind. Mara Wilson as Matilda Wormwood. Mara Wilson, born July 24, 1987, in Burbank, California. She played Matilda Wormwood, the brilliant, telekinetic little girl who outsmarted the adults around her, in Matilda, 1996, when she was just 9 years old. Her gentle face and quiet intensity made the character unforgettable. However, her own life was quietly unraveling behind the scenes. Her personal life was marked by heartbreak early on. Mara never married, but the center of her emotional world shattered when her mother died of breast cancer during the filming of Matilda. It was a loss that carved itself deep into her childhood, shaping the way she loved, trusted, and understood the world long before she had the tools to process it. Her career, once sparkling after Mrs. Doubtfire and Miracle on 34th Street, grew painfully heavy under the pressure of being a Hollywood child star. Depression, OCD, and burnout pushed her away from acting, turning auditions into battles she no longer wished to fight. She eventually walked away from movies entirely, choosing writing as a safer place to put her heart. By 2025, Mara Wilson is 38 years old, living a life built on her own terms as an author and mental health advocate. Her estimated $500,000 net worth reflects a modest but intentional career. Danny DeVito as Harry Wormwood. Daniel Michael DeVito Jr., born November 17, 1944, in Neptune Township, New Jersey. At 51 years old, he played Harry Wormwood, the abrasive, scheming used car dealer and neglectful father in Matilda, 1996. His character embodied the loud, careless chaos that Matilda fought against, while DeVito himself simultaneously directed and narrated the film. Yet behind that frantic humor was a man entering one of the most emotionally complicated chapters of his life. His marriage to actress Rhea Perlman, once admired for its longevity, began to fracture under years of quiet tension and mismatched ambitions. They separated after decades together, reconciled briefly, then separated again, neither able to fully leave nor fully stay. The emotional weight of a partnership slowly unraveling lingered through his work and became a silent shadow in the years that followed. As age pressed in, fatigue and stress became constant companions, magnified by the pressure of directing and acting across demanding projects. His body grew slower, his energy thinner, yet he kept going. Those struggles colored his later career, shaping a softer, more fragile version of the man who once carried entire productions on his shoulders. Today, Danny DeVito is 81 years old, still alive, still working, and still defying time in a way that feels almost defiant. His estimated $80 million net worth reflects a lifetime of relentless labor rather than comfort. And though the world still laughs with him, only he knows how many of those laughs were earned through pain. Paul Reubens, as FBI agent. Bob. Paul Rubenfeld, born August 27, 1952, in Peekskill, New York. He played FBI agent Bob, the bumbling, overly curious agent tailing the Wormwood family in Matilda, 1996, when he was 43 years old. His light-hearted performance hit a man whose real life was heading toward years of turmoil and heartbreak, far removed from the comic awkwardness of his character. Reubens never married and spent much of his life without a lasting romantic relationship. His closest emotional bonds came and went quietly, overshadowed by public scandal and the isolating demands of fame. In the end, his personal world remained small and guarded, marked by companionships that comforted him briefly but never became a home. Career struggles and illness soon converged into a private battle he fought alone. After the scandal that shattered his Pee Wee Herman image, he spent years rebuilding himself while carrying deep emotional scars. Then cancer arrived. First myelogenous leukemia, then metastatic lung cancer, a diagnosis he kept hidden even as it consumed his strength. Each appearance, each role, became an act of will, masking pain that grew harder to endure. Sadly, Paul Reubens died on July 30th, 2023, at age 70, from respiratory failure caused by advancing cancer. His final written apology revealed regret, gratitude, and a lifetime of unspoken sorrow. He was cremated and laid to rest at Hollywood Forever Cemetery, leaving behind an estimated $5 million legacy, small compared to the loneliness, brilliance, and quiet suffering that shaped his final years. Rhea Perlman as Zinnia Wormwood. Rhea Jo Perlman, born March 31, 1948, in Brooklyn, New York. At 48 years old, she played Zinnia Wormwood, the gaudy, inattentive mother whose oblivious cruelty shaped Matilda's loneliness in Matilda, 1996. Her bright costumes and cold indifference created one of the film's sharpest contrasts, even as her real life was entering a far more delicate emotional chapter. Her marriage to Danny DeVito, once admired for its longevity, became strained as their careers pulled them in different directions. They married in 1982, raised 3 children, and built decades of shared work, yet emotional distance accumulated quietly until they separated in 2012, reconciled briefly, then separated again in 2017. Despite the heartbreak, they chose not to divorce, staying connected for the family they built. Career pressures soon followed, and Perlman struggled against Hollywood's habit of shrinking roles for older actresses. Even with her Emmy-winning triumph in Cheers and memorable turns in Sunset Park and The Sessions, she faced the sting of being typecast and overlooked. Fatigue from age often shadowed her work, but she kept moving. By 2025, Rhea Perlman is 77 years old and continues appearing in small film and television projects with quiet persistence. Her estimated $50 million net worth, shaped by a lifetime in acting and shared assets with DeVito, reflects endurance more than luxury. Jean Spiegel Howard as Mrs. Phelps. Jean Spiegel Howard, born January 31, 1927, in Duncan, Oklahoma. She played Mrs. Phelps, the gentle librarian who offered Matilda her first refuge in Matilda, 1996, when she was 69 years old. Her warmth gave the film its rare softness, a subtle performance built on decades of quiet, steady work. She married actor Rance Howard in 1949, a partnership that endured more than 50 years. Their bond remained stable and affectionate, even as age and illness began to cast shadows across their later decades. Together, they navigated the emotional strain of health setbacks, supporting each other as long as her strength allowed. Her career carried challenges familiar to many older actresses, limited mostly to small roles despite the depth she brought to projects like Apollo 13 and Scrooged. Working well into her late 60s, she faced the frustration of being undervalued while watching her sons, Ron and Clint Howard, rise in Hollywood. As cancer developed, exhaustion settled into her life. Finally, Jean Spiegel Howard died on September 2, 2000, at age 73 from heart and respiratory complications related to cancer. She was buried at Hollywood Forever Cemetery beside the husband who survived her, leaving behind an estimated $1 million net worth that reflected decades of modest but heartfelt work. And even now, her brief time as Mrs. Phelps continues to echo. Pam Ferris as Agatha Trunchbull. Pam Ferris, born May 11, 1948, in Hanover, Germany. She played Agatha Trunchbull, the tyrannical, fear-driven headmistress who terrorized Matilda and her classmates, in Matilda, 1996, when she was 48 years old. Her commanding physicality and icy fury shaped one of cinema's most unforgettable villains. But behind that intensity lay a real toll the audience never saw. Ferris's marriage to actor Roger Frost has remained stable since 1986, though distance often strained them as her work in both the US and the UK demanded constant travel. Their union survived long separations and the emotional weight of a career that consumed her younger years. Her career brought acclaim, but also physical suffering. On the set of Matilda, she sustained eye injuries from chalk dust and a torn finger that required stitches, adding real pain to a role already emotionally taxing. Yet she pressed forward, later earning recognition for her work in Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban and her BAFTA-nominated performance in Call the Midwife. Still, the pressure of embodying harsh, formidable characters left her wrestling with exhaustion long after filming ended. By 2025, Pam Ferris is 77 years old and living a peaceful life in England, appearing occasionally in select screen and stage projects. Her estimated $6 million net worth reflects decades of steady acting and theater work. Marion Dugan as Cookie. Marion Dugan, born February 16, 1918 in Oak Park, Illinois. At 78 years old, she played Cookie, the rough-edged but warm-hearted school cook, in Matilda, 1996. Her brief scenes added humor and humanity to the film, even as her own life was marked by deep professional challenges in her later years. Her marriage to Charles Dugan lasted from 1942 until his death in 2008, a partnership shaped by loyalty but also by long stretches of emotional strain as she navigated a difficult career while raising 4 children. Losing him after more than 6 decades of marriage left a quiet ache that followed her into the final years of her life. Her career brought constant hurdles. Cast mostly in small supporting roles, she battled financial stress and the loneliness of being an aging actress in Hollywood, where opportunities faded quickly. Despite this, she appeared in recognizable films such as Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, and The Fugitive, proving her talent even when the industry overlooked her. But the isolation of limited roles and declining health weighed heavily on her spirit. Sadly, Marion Dugan died on March 31, 2015 in Sherman Oaks, California, at age 97 from natural causes worsened by age-related complications. Her estimated $500,000 net worth reflected a lifetime of modest work and perseverance rather than fame. She rests now with the dignity of a woman who pushed through obscurity and hardship to leave behind small but memorable marks on film history. Embeth Davids as Jennifer Honey. Embeth Davids, born August 11, 1965 in Lafayette, Indiana. She played Jennifer Honey, the gentle, protective teacher who becomes Matilda's safe haven, in Matilda, 1996, when she was 31 years old. Her warmth on screen hid the quiet storms she would one day face. Her marriage to attorney Jason Sloan has been steady, but their home was shaken when her cancer diagnosis in 2013 forced them into a world of hospitals, surgeries, and fear. The treatments drained her strength, and the burden of uncertainty weighed heavily on their family, turning ordinary days into emotional battles they had never prepared for. Her career, once rising effortlessly after Schindler's List and Junebug, was suddenly interrupted by chemotherapy and the long, painful recovery that followed. Yet Davids returned with remarkable courage, refusing prosthetics and choosing instead to show her real, post-mastectomy body in Ray Donovan, turning vulnerability into truth. Roles in The Amazing Spider-Man and her acclaimed directorial debut in 2024 reflected a woman who rebuilt herself through art. By 2025, Embeth Davids is 60 years old, still acting, still creating, and still living with the quiet aftermath of survival. Her estimated $5 million net worth is modest compared to Hollywood standards, but it represents a career defined not by glamour, but by resilience and the kind of honesty that forever changed how audiences saw her. Kiami Davael as Lavender. Kiami Davael, born August 21, 1986, in Kentucky. She played Lavender, the mischievous, fearless friend who brought warmth and delightful chaos into Matilda, 1996, when she was 10 years old. Her vibrant smile and playful energy made Lavender instantly iconic, leaving a lasting mark on audiences. That early spark set the stage for a career many believed would flourish, even as life soon took her down a different path. Because Kiami never married, the most defining parts of her story emerged through her early acting work. Beyond Matilda, she appeared in Moesha and The Steve Harvey Show, performances that briefly showcased her comedic charm. These roles hinted at a promising career before the reality of Hollywood's harsh competition began closing in. The transition from child star to working adult proved far more difficult than expected. Her career soon became a struggle against shrinking opportunities and the emotional weight of fading visibility. Hollywood moved on quickly, and Kiami grappled with the loss of momentum, eventually turning toward writing and producing to reclaim control over her creative identity. She found comfort in theater, mentoring young performers, and using screenwriting as a way to rebuild confidence while distancing herself from the industry that once embraced her. These choices allowed her to grow beyond the limitations of early fame. By 2025, Kiami Davael is 39, living a quiet life as an independent producer and occasional acting coach, focusing on steady work rather than public attention. Her estimated net worth of $200,000 reflects a modest but stable path carved after years of industry challenges. Jacqueline Steiger as Amanda Thripp. Jacqueline Steiger, born December 26, 1986, in Reseda, California. She played Amanda Thripp, the sweet little girl with signature pigtails who became part of one of Matilda's most unforgettable scenes when she was 10 years old. Her shocked expression during the famous Trunchbull throw turned her into an instant fan favorite. Despite this early recognition, her acting journey would soon take an unexpected turn. Jacqueline never married, so her identity in the public eye remained intertwined with her small but memorable body of work. In addition to Matilda, she appeared in Beautiful, 2000, and Dennis the Menace Strikes Again, 1998, roles that hinted at her potential versatility. These performances showed she could navigate both comedy and drama before stepping back to pursue a more private, academic path. Her early promise echoed through these final on-screen appearances. Her career challenges emerged as she struggled to transition out of the child actor box Hollywood placed her in. Rather than chase roles that no longer fulfilled her, Jacqueline chose to study linguistics. Leaving Hollywood brought emotional difficulties, including a sense of distance from the world that once celebrated her. Yet this decision allowed her to focus on intellectual work and creative projects she could manage on her own terms. By 2025, Jacqueline Steiger is 39, living quietly while working selectively in production and academic fields related to linguistics. Her estimated net worth of $100,000 reflects a simple but steady life shaped not by fame, but by intentional choices. Though she disappeared from the spotlight, she remains a beloved figure among fans who grew up with Matilda and continue to cherish her brief but memorable contribution to film history. Jimmy Karz as Bruce Bogtrotter. Jimmy Karz, born July 26, 1984, in Los Angeles. He played Bruce Bogtrotter, the chocolate cake champion whose unforgettable scene became a cultural icon when he was 12 years old. His innocent defiance and wide-eyed terror turned the moment into one of Matilda's most memorable shocks. That single performance made him instantly recognizable, even as he quietly stepped away from acting soon after. Jimmy never married, so the most meaningful parts of his early story came from his brief but impactful screen work. In addition to Matilda, he appeared in The Wedding Singer, 1998, where his sudden glow-up surprised audiences who remembered him as Bruce. These rare roles showed a young actor with natural comedic timing before he chose a far different future. They remain small but beloved pieces of 90s nostalgia tied to his name. His greatest struggle came from walking away from Hollywood entirely to pursue medicine. a transition filled with pressure, self-doubt, and the weight of leaving a familiar world behind. While his classmates remembered him as the Cake Kid, he fought to prove he could build a serious career, studying tirelessly through long, grueling years of medical training. That reinvention demanded a discipline acting never required of him, yet through resilience, he found his way toward a life defined not by fame, but purpose. By 2025, Jimmy Karz is 41 years old, working as a physician and living far from the spotlight that once amplified his childhood image. His estimated net worth of $1 million reflects a stable life carved from education and medical service rather than entertainment. Tracy Walter as FBI agent. Bill Tracy Walter, born November 25, 1947 in Jersey City, New Jersey. He played FBI agent Bill, the quirky, deadpan investigator tailing the Wormwoods, in Matilda, 1996, when he was 49 years old. His brief scenes carried the same offbeat charm that defined an entire lifetime of character roles. Walter's personal life marked mainly by the quiet responsibilities of raising two children. His relationships were shaped by long absences and demanding shooting schedules, leaving emotional distances that only deep years of reconciliation could soften. His career, despite spanning over 170 films and shows, was burdened by the industry's habit of boxing him into odd sidekick roles. This label haunted him for decades, making major parts elusive even after Repo Man and Batman proved his talent unmistakably. The struggle to be seen beyond eccentric characters left lasting frustration, and the exhaustion of constant typecasting eventually pushed him into retirement. By 2025, Tracy Walter is 78 years old, living quietly after stepping away from Hollywood's noise. His estimated $2 million net worth reflects a lifetime of steady work rather than stardom. And though audiences remember him for fleeting moments on screen, the weight of his journey lingers long after the credits fade. Brian Levenson as Michael Wormwood. Brian Levenson, born October 27, 1982, in Los Angeles, California. He played Michael Wormwood, Matilda's clueless, loud-mouthed older brother, in Matilda, 1996, when he was 14 years old. His comedic timing made the character memorable, even though his real life was much quieter than the boy he portrayed. His personal life remained largely private. Brian never publicly discussed long-term relationships or marriage, choosing instead a life outside the entertainment industry. Those who knew him described a gentle, introverted young man who preferred privacy over fame, a stark contrast to the bratty character audiences remember. His professional path was steeped in difficulty. Matilda was both his rise and his farewell, and leaving Hollywood so early forced him to confront the identity crisis that many child actors never speak about. With only a few credits to his name, like Predator 2 and Hardball, he struggled to transition into a normal career, carrying the weight of fading recognition and the uncertainty of starting over from scratch. Yet he chose stability over the emotional turbulence of the industry and quietly rebuilt his life in business. By 2025, Brian Levenson is 43 years old, living far from the spotlight and working in a field unrelated to acting. His estimated $300,000 net worth reflects a practical life shaped not by fame, but by the courage to walk away from it. And though audiences remember him as the teasing older brother, the truth is, his journey since then has been one of quiet resilience, not mischief. Kira Spencer Hesser as Hortensia. Kira Spencer Hesser, born December 26, 1983, in Seattle, played Hortensia, the bold, sharp-tongued classmate who warned everyone about Trunchbull's wrath, when she was 12 years old. Her confident delivery made the character feel like a protective older sister within Matilda's chaotic school halls. That small but striking role became her most recognized moment on screen, even as she later chose a quieter path. The early defining parts of her career were the roles she took before leaving Hollywood behind. Outside Matilda, she acted in Immobile Home, 2014, and Our RoboCop remake, 2014. Projects that showcased her offbeat humor and growing interest in independent storytelling. These appearances hinted at a creative voice searching for the right medium. They painted a picture of someone more drawn to writing and producing than chasing fame. Her difficulties emerged from the emotional weight of drifting away from acting, a decision fueled by the struggle to find meaningful roles after childhood success. Balancing university studies and artistic ambitions left her in a state of uncertainty. Rather than fight for visibility, she shifted toward writing. This transition became a gentle act of self-preservation rather than defeat. By 2025, Kira Spencer Hesser is 41, living privately while occasionally engaging in small creative projects that allow her to work on her own schedule. Her estimated net worth of $150,000 reflects a humble but steady life built outside the entertainment machine. Jon Lovitz as Mickey. Jon Lovitz, born July 21, 1957, in Los Angeles. He played Mickey, the loud, over-the-top game show host who brought chaotic comedy into Matilda, 1996, when he was 39 years old. His brief appearance added a jolt of absurd humor that matched the film's surreal tone. That energy also reflected the unpredictable turns his real career would take. Lovitz never married, but the emotional turbulence of his professional life often overshadowed his private world. Before Matilda, he became famous through Saturday Night Live, 1985 to 1990, and later charmed audiences in A League of Their Own, 1992. Those successes hid the loneliness and disappointment he felt after being replaced on SNL. The weight of that rejection lingered long after he left the show. The most painful struggle of his life came from the depression that followed his exit from SNL, forcing him to rebuild his identity outside the institution that made him a star. He turned to voice acting, stand-up and film roles to keep moving, but each new job carried a quiet reminder of what he had lost. His feud with Andy Dick after Phil Hartman's death only added to the emotional toll. Even so, comedy became both his shield and his way back to stability. By 2025, Jon Lovitz is 68 years old, still performing stand-up and appearing in comedy projects with the same unmistakable voice that marked his early fame. His estimated net worth of $3 million reflects decades of steady work despite the storms he weathered. Living quietly in Beverly Hills, he continues honoring the legacy of friends he lost while carving out the final chapters of his own career. So, now that you've seen how the cast of Matilda changed in ways no one ever expected, which story surprised you the most? And who do you think deserves a deeper look? Tell us in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more unbelievable Hollywood transformations.